powerful lessons that I drew from the Odogwu Parara movie. That's the Achalugo movie that is recently trending on the internet. So that's a Nigerian movie that everyone needs to go and kind of watch, because I've noticed some powerful lessons that it's a kind of evergreen lessons when it comes to financial intelligence, right? I want to share with you, in case you are meeting me for the first time. My name is Kabir A. Abdulkadir, and you can look up for me at any of my social media handles at AA Kabir Official, right? So now let's begin. I have 10 powerful lessons I want to share with you. This will blow your mind. A lot of people just watch movies. Of course, the movie has been trending. I've been seeing notifications. I've seen about 18 million views so far, right? I've told myself time and time again that I need to go and watch the movie. So I just finished watching. And guess what I did? While I was watching it, I was actually jotting down the main things that actually sound like a financial advice, which I want to share with you, my audience, today. And sit back, relax. I want to load you with a lot. By the way, if you have not watched it, I think you should consider watching it before you continue watching this video, because it will make a lot of sense when the kind of analyzing and try to digress the movie into pieces so that we can pick the financial lessons within. Now let's get started. By the way, the name of the movie is Love in Every Word, right? For me, I call it, I see wealth in every word. I see actions in every word. I see persistence. I see confidence in every word. Every action that is happening in that video and in that movie, that's what I see. And that's actually wealth. This is what we have been preaching to you. I'm going to run you through. There's no time to explain in details so that the video will not stay overly long. But really, if you want to be wealthy, consider listening to this video. Also, go back and watch that movie. And then let's get started. Number one, I've noted down here that wealth is not in grammar, degrees, or accents. Wealth is not in grammar, degrees, or accents. Now, if you notice, we found out that Achalugo herself, that's Chioma, she can speak good English. She's well educated, and then posh kind of girl, all those kind of Lagos babe, for example. So, but in a lot of ways, she's not wealthy. She's an employee. By the way, before I continue, I want you to draw your mind back to the fact that this is a word between an employee and what? An entrepreneur. A fight between the word of an employee and entrepreneur. But what I tell people is that life is much easier if you learn to become an entrepreneur, right? So let me not take that too far, but understand the fact that wealth is not in your papers, it's not in your degrees, it's not in how many schools you have attended, it's not in the accent you are speaking. It's actually deeply rooted in what you know, what you can do, what you can offer, what value do you have in exchange. So if you look at Parara himself, the Odogwu himself, he can hardly speak English, which is actually one of the problems they have at the point in the movie. They almost split, right? Based on the fact that Chioma is interested in a man who can speak good English, right? Who have good accents. But in other words, Odogwu doesn't have all these accents, but is a wealthy man. Like I was imagining if somebody can ask people to gather about 2-3 kind of necklace that is worth $17 million. That person is overly wealthy, right? But this person cannot speak English. So this pattern has played again and again in the world of wealth. Like people like Henry Ford now, for example, the owner of that Ford car that you've been seeing around, is not an educated person per se, like kind of classroom education, but he's knowledgeable so much so that he can transform his knowledge into reality. He can produce something as a product or services. If you look at people like that, Cosmos Maduka, you notice that he's not an English person, he's not an educated person when it comes to the school thing, but he's so wealthy in Nigeria, for example. So this pattern this is not to say that you should not go to school, but I want to assure you that wealth is not what? In English. It's not in the speaking. It's not, in fact, sometimes you might not even hear a language at all, but you can be wealthy if only you know. If you notice in the movie, time and time again, Parara keep telling Chioma to prioritize her own business, to do things for herself. But she was carried away based on the fact that she don't understand the fight between being an entrepreneur and also working as an employee. Whereas whatever she's doing in her lifestyle is always talking about being an employee, but she never thought about how she can build her own business, even though she has a business. So number two is, become wealthy in your personalities before manifestation. Become wealthy. Learn to become wealthy in your personalities before physical manifestation. Now, in all through the movie, you notice that Parara, Odogwu is wealthy in his personality. He says that is very sincere, is very honest, is very confident, is very, very generous, he sees things from the future. Like, if you notice the confidence in him, he keeps mentioning time and time again that he's already seeing the Achalugo as his wife, right? The first time he's meeting her, and subsequently he repeated that. He's so confident, and then he's always action oriented. Like, he always moves into action. Whatever he wants, he speaks it with confidence. He's very firm, right? So these are some of the personalities I list down. He's very simple. He has a lot of humility. He's confident. He's persistent. He's generous. So if you notice somebody has gathered all of these qualities, wealth just attracts itself to you, meaning that you actually become wealthy first before this wealth now come around. And these are the things that attract wealth. You can't claim to be wealthy when you are not. You can't be generous. You are not simple. You are hard to understand. You are very tough, just like Chioma's boss in the office. I'm going to talk about her, right? So take for example, and this man has some vibes. The first time you'll be taking her out, she was like, "Can you tell me about yourself?" And he was like, "No, I want to just listen to you today. If you want to take me out, maybe that day you can ask me so that I will explain. But today, I just want to listen to you." So when you prioritize people, where the people actually want to hear you out, they will listen to you. Even in terms of communicating with customers, once customer feel being heard, he or she is easily feel like he should trust you. So these are some of the words. That's number 2. Number 3 is you have to manage your emotions. You have to manage the rejections. Right? You have to normalize failure. Now look at the scenario that play out time and time again. There was a point where Achalugo was not interested in the relationship because of some issues you have in the past. Somehow from the beginning I did not really understand why she was rejecting the man, because I was like, this is obvious that this is a good man, he's wealthy. I noticed that of course she's not okay with the accent, but I just keep wondering, why would somebody be rejecting a wealthy man so simple and generous because of an accent, right? So but the truth is that the lesson I'm trying to teach you now is that Odogwu accepted it. He was not overly emotional about the whole thing. She mentioned that at a point she even mentioned like, "Why are you still good to me even after I told you I'm not interested in you?" He was like, "I cannot be mean to you because you said you don't like me." So this is the personality of the rich. Like, they don't do things because you push them to do. If you notice that because people talk you into action and you begin to react, there's a problem with you. I've taught all of this kind of principle time and time again. So you have to accept yourself, and then you have to be firm. As much as you love things, you have to be firm. You have to stand for yourself. You have to stay very true, and then never get distracted no matter what happens. So this is the character of the wealthy people. Number 4, the willingness to contribute, to build yourself and to be responsible. Take for example, Parara has mentioned that the reason why he like Achalugo, because Achalugo asked him that, "Your mother has said that in the village, a lot of women have been paraded before you to choose, but you never choose one. Why do you choose me?" Like, he was going after her. Why? Because Achalugo has some values in her. Chioma has a lot of values. She's a career person. She wants to work for herself. She's very confident. Even though in a lot of ways, she's only particular about being an employee, not an entrepreneur. I'm coming somewhere. But you have to be willing as an individual to have value to yourself. Add value, learn. This is what I tell my followers every time. So you have to find something to do of value. You contribute to people's life. Always try to give before you try to take. And naturally, you just have more than enough, right? Now, number 5 is Achalugo's boyfriend, her experience in terms of financial mismanagement. That was a very big mistake for Achalugo not to have, she trusted somebody and then the person is not an expert, right? In the, I think, what do you call this? The crypto stuff, the space, FX or whatever they call it, that she trusted him with $5,000 to go and manage it. Whereas she know that this guy is irresponsible. Now, you see, she was unable to manage her emotion, and then she just loved the guy, and that way she was mixing business with pleasure. This is what a lot of people do. Do you know that if you become wealthy and you still cannot manage to separate pleasure from business, even if you want to do business with your wife or your girlfriend or whoever it is that you are attached to emotionally or in terms of relationship, you need to get it clearly. We are not saying that you should not relate to people that you are related to either by blood or by relationship, maybe like feelings or love. But you need to be able to, as a man or as a woman, separate your emotions and get it clear. Very, very clear. You cannot mix the two. And if you have not built your emotions to an extent that you can separate the two, then you are putting yourself in a very, very big mess, just like Achalugo did. She has to lose $5,000 right? Although at a point, she also worked with an expert that help her to bring it back, which is where I'm also coming to. You know, you have to be willing to, number 6 now, you have to, at times you are not an expert in so many things. You know, in terms of relationship, you can seek guidance and advice. In terms of financial intelligence, you can seek guidance and advice. If you need a lawyer, you can get one. Sometimes it can start as a friend, but you need to always get an expert advice, because it was a lawyer at the end that helped Achalugo to get back almost, I think, more than, I think, $12,000 according to them in the movie. But she was able to get back her money, even when she never believed that nothing tangible will come out from that guy. And the guy was completely irresponsible. So you don't push yourself on a man because you want to get married, or because of the society, or maybe the experience you have. You know, you just try to restrict yourself to one particular man. As a lady or as a man, you are restricting yourself to a particular woman because of your experience in the past. All of this will help to, as in, it will destabilize yourself. And then in a lot of ways, it will not help you to be able to manage the money or build whatever you are building. Focus, because emotions can interfere if not well managed. So that's number 6. So as much as possible, also on top of it, that number 6, have good friends. Do you notice the role of the 2 friends of Chioma in the movie? Like, they are not kind of material oriented. Imagine that they want to just advise Chioma because of money. They were so real in their advice. They advised her so well, and then they were the one at the end of the day, even when Chioma was rejecting the man, pushing the man away, they were the one that fight and went and brought back the man, explaining to the man what actually Chioma was afraid of. And this actually played out very well. Now, for you that are watching me right now, what kind of friends do you have? Are they the one that will fight for you, or they will fight against you? Are they the one that will even want to take over Parara from you, or your Odogwu from you? Now, these are some of the things that people don't learn. You can't be building wealth when you are not building good friends. They're going to scatter it for you. In fact, instead of you to have bad friends, you rather not have at all. It's better for you. So number 7, Chioma not willing to take risk. A lot of you, where you are working right now, perhaps you've learned so much already. We are not saying you should quit your job or something else, but you know, you can start thinking about multiple streams. You can start thinking about being responsible for yourself. You can see that in a lot of ways, Chioma was willing to adapt. You know, she has a toxic boss. She was struggling. She was an expert in what she do. She knows so well, but she was very calm and humble. She was working on herself. But when the right time came that she would not take the hit, she can easily move. In fact, she had to tell one of her colleagues in that company that she's employing her right there before her boss. Now, do you see how it works? That's why I tell a lot of people that from the beginning, you need to be patient. You need to be willing to go through the process, because I learned that wealth building is all about going through the process. It's not about the money you are thinking in your head. It's not about the vision you are seeing. What is the strategy? What is the process you are willing to go through? And what are the sacrifices you are willing to pay? So now, Chioma was not willing to take a risk. She was always holding back, despite her expertise and also even having an existing business. Imagine, she had a business that was paying her in a month up to 1.8 million. Her salary was about 750, but Chioma was staying back for 750 instead of going back, believing in herself, and then building further in her business. So a lot of people hold back when they are supposed to actually be moving. So there's no time, right? Number 8, Chioma's toxic boss and how she managed her. I've talked about this. Do you know that Chioma is so emotionally stable? Like, she's a woman, but I can feel it that, wow, she's taking a lot at a time. Look at the relationship with Parara. Each time it gets faulty, she was struggling with it. Look at her boss. He was not allowing her space. How many of you have watched the place where, that was the most interesting aspect of the movie for me, the place where the boss has to call at the midnight, at the middle of the night, that the boss, Parara has to pick up and blast her and talk sense into her head, even though this does not really make sense, as in this does not really calm her down. She still continuing her way, but it makes a lot of sense. He was fighting for her, and I could, in fact, Chioma was laughing. You know, Achalugo was laughing at the point. So now, if you have a woman that is up and doing, you need to fight for her. And if you don't like a woman, please let her go. The same thing applicable to women. If you have a man that is up and doing, please fight for them. They are the one that will make you stable later, right? So number 9, Odogwu's persistency. See, I've said this before. Like, his character, his personalities is so attractive to anybody, can be attractive to him. I know you can feel it. You can become like that. You don't necessarily have plenty degrees, plenty education in your head. You just need to apply this. I told a lot of people that most of those qualities you see Parara have, if you can learn to have it today, there's no gap between you and wealth. You're just going to have it. right? So he's very persistent. These are key things I picked from him. He's very persistent, he's very true to himself, he's very generous, and then he used money where necessary. Imagine that he want to impress Chioma with money, you know he would have lost it. Because one of Chioma's reason for holding back was as a result of her father that was what? Abusing them, you know, financially and all of that. I told you a while ago, go and watch the movie, you will understand better my conversation. Finally, and that's what I'm talking about, Chioma was holding back so much so that she was almost losing it. Because guess what? She's going to be frustrated in her job. There's no space for her to relax in that job because she has a very toxic boss. And then on top of it, she was already rejecting Parara, Odogwu, my man. Man, I love those crew. In fact, as a matter of fact, I want to say a big shout out for the crew that actually is it Ononi something TV. You can just go to the YouTube channel or type the name of the movie. I love in every word, you know, and then you go watch that movie. I want to appreciate the people that put up that movie, and I can now see the reason why a lot of people are watching it and then how it's making a lot of sense. For me, I always see things in the perspective of wealth, right? And how things could just turn to money and a lot of wealth. Don't get me wrong. Thank you so much for watching. My name is once again Kabir Abdulkadir. I call myself the world's most influential entrepreneur business coach from Africa, precisely from Nigeria. If you enjoyed this video, please share with others. Please subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe because obviously I'm going to be coming with this kind of vibes so that I can communicate through the things you enjoy. And you can really understand that, wow, I can literally leverage on some of these things to become a millionaire or a billionaire myself. Once again, we'll do this again tomorrow. Until then, bye-bye for now. One love.